Hey folks, last week I had a chance to sit down with Murphy Jensen, who's the new head coach of the Washington Kastles, DC's World Team Tennis franchise. Now, if you don't know what World Team Tennis is, we're going to explain all that in the interview, but it's a really, really cool format where you have the men and the women competing in the same matches. Now, if you're in the DC area, head over to WashingtonKastles.com and pick up your tickets for the upcoming season. Serena Williams is the headliner. She's going to be here. Anna Kournikova will be here. John McEnroe, and a bunch of other top pros. It's a bunch of fun, and FYB is also going to be there, so we would love to see you at the matches. We'd love to meet you. Now, let's get on with the interview. It's Murphy Jensen, so pretty unpredictable. I didn't really know what to expect coming in, and he certainly threw me some curveballs, so I hope you enjoy the interview. First, for our audience out there, we have an audience all over the world. Explain World Team Tennis. What exactly is it? How does it work? How is it different from a normal professional tennis match?
Well, I think that the only person that could properly describe World Team Tennis would be the founder, Billie Jean King. She came up with the concept promoting gender equity, where men and women play on the same field. It's the only professional sport in the world where the guys and the girls compete for the same result. There's men's singles, women's singles, men's doubles, women's doubles, and a mixed doubles. You play sets to 5, so no matter what, in any World Team Tennis match, you're going to get 5 sets of tennis. Now you play that set to 5 as opposed to 6, and you're using no ad scoring. What you have is every match will come down to that 5th set. The real trick for me as a coach will be, who do I put into that 5th set? So if we're playing a team that's a little bit stronger in other positions, I'm going to want Serena to be my anchor, because if we're down 8 games going into the 5th set, now it's a set to 5, she can rattle off, because if you win the last game in the 5th set, you keep going. It's not over. So if she's got a 5-game deficit going in, she wins 5-0, she picks up 3 more games, she's now tied. You play what they call a super tiebreaker. Next thing you know, we win the match, and we were down 5 games. It's a fan-friendly, highly energetic brand and format of tennis where, unlike Davis Cup, you get the women. Unlike Fed Cup, you get the men, and you're competing together. And I really think on the court and for your game, it is the most intense way to play those big points well. Because it's no ad scoring, because it's a set to 5, you better get off to a good start. Just because you're 4 in the world doesn't mean you're going to be a good World Team Tennis player. And at the end of the day, I think players are drawn to World Team Tennis because of Billie Jean King, number 1, and number 2, it is an unbelievable break from the WTA Tour and the ATP Tour, where it's the same old grind, and they can take a minute to assess their game before going into the US Open and work on those things they might want to work on.
So to clarify, the very last match, it doesn't matter how far you're down, you can come back and still play it out and still end up winning, even if you've gotten killed earlier on.
You can be down 20-0 going into that last match. Robbie Ginepri's famous for these crazy comebacks. They're down 9 or 11 games, and he rattles off 15 in a row or something insane. It really keeps, number 1, it keeps, let's say you're watching someone at 6-0, 5-0. I mean, there's a chance of coming back, but there really is a chance of coming back when you've got Venus Williams possibly playing, someone 280 in the world. She's going to rattle off 6 to 12 games. I mean, and it's a little bit tougher in the men to do that, because you can have a guy that's 400 in the world, but if he serves like a monster, 140 miles an hour, he's going to hold serve for 1 game.
And there's some other interesting things about World Team Tennis. One is the challenge system.
Yeah.
Now on the tour, players challenge, but you as the coach are the one that now directs the challenge, correct? And how does that work exactly?
What's really interesting for me is when I was playing World Team Tennis, I played for 11 seasons with 8 different teams. There was no challenge. There was no Hawkeye. There was none of that stuff. So that's going to be new for me. I don't want to, the way it's going to work for me is I'm going to sometimes challenge when I know the ball's in, because I'm going to take a chance to see if that device even works. I might challenge just to slow the momentum down. If my superstar is, struggling out there and the game plan isn't working, let's start challenging and cause a distraction to maybe the opponent. You may say that's unsportsmanlike, but the Washington Kastles will do anything they need to win.
Now, the challenge flag itself, you get to throw, so there's a little bit more flair involved there. Do you have a particular style, maybe a particular release, sidearm, overhand,
It depends on the
underhand?
situation. I don't know the etiquette. I'm going to watch the other coaches closely. If the umpire gives me a bad call, it may go in his direction. Mm-hmm. It's a red flag, and that would be one way. I'm like, oh, sorry about that, sir. It slipped. Little
got a twitch.
Challenge elbow. It just is great because it gets the bench involved, it gets the fans involved. I can even look to the crowd. What do you think? Should I put it out there? And I'm not there to entertain. My job is to see this team win and to give our players the best chance at winning. But it's a great momentum changer. I mean, the game of tennis is a game of having the momentum going in your favor. You ever see players that come out with a really hot start? I mean, how does that happen? That happens because they catch the upswing of whatever's working at that given moment.
Finally, tell me about how the fans can interact with these matches. Because in a normal tennis match, you're pretty much supposed to be quiet, not make any noise. You're sitting down once the point starts. Works a little bit different with World Team Tennis.
With the fans?
With the fans.
Well, I think it starts at least at the Washington Kastles Stadium. When the fans enter the stadium, there's a house band next to the merchandising tent. You get your gear, you get your pom-poms, you gear up with your uni. You might get a chance to do some face painting. The music gets you into it. That's outside in, the fans area.
Outside the stadium?
Outside the stadium. Then you enter the stadium, and there's a DJ and an MC, and they're pumping everything up. You've got, when Anna Kournikova came to town last year, she's out there giving a clinic, high-fiving. There's, diplomats and senators and congressmen, and it's the place to be. And that's the type of atmosphere that there is here. But as far as the entire World Team Tennis League, it's about promoting fun. It's a little bit different than Davis Cup. I think there's a classy way to cheer for your home team. There's an unclassy way to do it. I remember times when certain MCs between serves would say, "Oh, I hope you don't choke, Murph." And I'm like, what do I do with this second serve? I need the game for my team. Should I aim it at his head, or should I aim it, put it in the box and try to win the point?
So which did you decide? I mean, that can be a tough choice.
It's 50-50.
50-50?
Depends on the MC.
If he's good, then maybe.
But then I'll, sometimes I get a moment of clarity where I'll say, you know what, I'll win this point, and then on a dog point, I'll take a return right at his face.
Sure, when you're up a couple points.
Yeah. But it's so heated. It's way more heated. What people really need to understand is it's not an exhibition. It's the real shoot match, and I'm not saying it to promote it. If you're Serena Williams, she feels more pressure playing, I would imagine. I'm not going to speak for her, but I've heard comments because you've got your teammates. They're sitting on the sideline, and the coach, and the fans, and the front office. I mean, this season that we're about approaching on started the day. The match hadn't even ended, and this season was started to be talked about. And what are we going to do different next year? And how can we build on it and how can we stay ahead of the rest of the league? So when there's that riding on it, I mean, my primary purpose is to keep the players motivated, and that's going to be by making it fun, making them care, creating a family atmosphere on the bench and while we're traveling town to town. And we're going to look for different adventures in every city. We're going to get out in the local communities and do a ton of charity work. That's unbelievable. This is the only format I think I don't see as much with when the players are on the circuit. It seems more like obligations, but World Team Tennis is about bringing people that never would have seen a tennis racket before into tennis. It's about creating a community atmosphere. It's Washington, D.C.'s team. It's not Murphy's team. It's not Mark Ein's team. It's not your team. It's the city of D.C. It's an amazing platform.